Hello, everybody.
What up? What up? What up?
My name is Tim Daniel. His name is Ben Brown. And welcome to the first installment of 2025 of Late Night Reds, part of the Riverfront Podcast Network, brought to you by the wonderful people over at the Blue Wire Media Network as well. And Ben, we had a great holiday season. I'm excited to
Awesome.
be back, though.
Oh yeah, absolutely. Somebody was posting something about like 100 days till spring training and all this other stuff, and I'm like, dude, it can't get here fast enough. Especially when we got 21 inches of snow.
Yeah.
So I'm ready for a little spring training. I'm ready for that sound of that ball hitting that bat, and pitches hitting gloves, and I'm just ready.
Yeah, man. I am absolutely with you. So, we're going to be starting our series today, just talking about just going position by position until we get to the season. What up, Sid? How are you? Why are you not over at Block Shot Stop tonight? Okay, I mean I'm happy you're with me, but come on now, that show needs more love than this one does. But actually, it's probably not a good night to be on a calf show, but that's okay. Good night for Pacers fans. Um,
Oh man,
yeah,
yeah,
good night for Pacers fans. Stay hot. But
man, I'm trying.
yeah, they're playing really well right now. So we're gonna
Yeah.
start with starting pitching today because it's the strength of the team. Obviously, we're gonna get into that and all that. But Ben, um, elephant in the room. There's a big college football game next Monday, the 20th, and
Yeah.
our teams are playing each
Whatever
other.
are you talking about? I mean,
couldn't possibly be those guys, right?
right.
Mm. So I won't get into the game and all that stuff, but I obviously felt like we had to mention it since it is our two teams. And my big thought process
Mhm.
as I come away from it is I understand this game is likely not going to go in my team's favor, and I'm okay with that. I'm fine with that. You know, anything's possible. I'm not saying that
Mhm.
it can't, but I understand the matchup. But realistically, would we have it any other way than these two teams playing in the most historic national championship game of all time?
No, I mean, absolutely not. I mean, two-storied, just collegiate, just two-story collegiate teams, with all the history, um, the history of Notre Dame, of course, with, the Four Horsemen, the lore, the great championship team of '88, and all the other history that goes with Notre Dame, and now you match that with Ohio State, who's had a little bit more recent history of being having some success, and it's exciting, man. It's two major college franchises who are, well, one has kind of been at the top, but to see the rise of Notre Dame and what they've been able to do with Marcus Freeman and the way he commands that team and the way that team plays so hard for him. I mean, it's if it weren't Notre Dame, like I would be, yeah, let's go. But like I have so much respect for Marcus Freeman and the job that he's done and what he's done at Notre Dame and watching him take those guys from a team didn't really have that edge, that swagger to what they have now is kind of incredible.
Yeah, it's what we call culture in the locker room. Is what these guys have.
Yep.
Sydney, I'm going to kick you out and send you over to Block Shot Stop tonight. We're not bringing any of that negativity to the first late night Reds of the year. Okay, we are not doing that. But no, man, it's gonna be really cool. Like I have no idea. I mean,
Yeah.
I understand why Ohio State's the favorite, and I don't disagree with it. But
Yeah.
that's what Notre Dame wants. That's for sure what they want. They want you to not believe in them, and they
Yeah.
want to make it a dogfight. And so it's gonna be fun. It's gonna be a great 8 days leading up to it. So I'm looking forward to it. But let's get to some baseball talk. And obviously, I brought the Riverfront back this week. While Chad and Nate are. Chad is actually in Orlando tonight at the Magic Sixers game. He texted me
Oh
earlier,
no.
so he looks like he's having a good time there. But haven't had a chance to get your thoughts on the Gavin Lux trade. What were your big thoughts overall?
Um, It was cool. I mean, I always like when you bring people in that have that been a part of winning.
Mhm.
He's got 2 World Series rings. He's been a part of that. So when you bring a guy in that's won and knows how to win, when you're always looking for what we will talk about clubhouse leaders, guys that have experience. I mean, he kind of checks both those boxes. So it's good to see him be able to come in and bring that experience. I'm a little leery of what they're going to do with him since he's an infielder. Just what I mean? Like you just traded one infielder to get another one.
Mhm.
So I'm interested to see how that's gonna work and what they want to do, which makes me a little nervous. Um, because I'm hoping that they're not what I'm hoping is maybe they move McLean to third. I don't know. Like I just hope none of those guys go to the outfield and that's their solution for hey, we got the outfield problem fixed. Like, no, no, no. That's not how we fix the outfield problem.
No,
So
we get
that's my
outfielders.
only yeah, that's my only fear is that they're like, hey, Matt McClain could play left field. You're like, no, no, that's not what we're trying to do here. But um, yeah, that's that. Hopefully, that's not their answer, and that they brought him in to have a veteran presence there and be able to do some things in the clubhouse.
Yeah, Mark Sheldon wrote an article yesterday on MLB.com about all of this, and just kind of talking about what this could be. And he literally just said exactly all the things you said. And he's like, "This is how it could work," and you're like, "No, no, no, no. That's how it could
Yeah,
not work." Is what we're is the frustration we're having. I understand some people bring up, and I talked about this with Joel the other day on the Riverfront. Um, Obviously, Matt McClain played center field at UCLA. He played center field in the Arizona Fall League, and I don't care. I don't want him to go to center field. I don't want a guy who had the shoulder injury that he had to go play center field. I just don't.
hmm
Um, I am more open to Ellie De La Cruz to third baseman. I don't love it. I don't think Ellie loves it. But if that's something where Gavin Lux plays second, Ellie De La Cruz plays third, Matt McClain plays short, don't love it, don't hate it. Okay with it because all three guys are in the lineup and playing positions they're
yeah,
comfortable at. Um, is kind of where I'm thinking about as well there. And then yeah, so outfield, still no clue. Um, I think that, like Sydney says here, please don't send Zell Matt McClain. Abso-freaking-lutely. Yeah, I like
yeah,
Gavin Lux. I mean, the second half of the year after he kind of like got his feet underneath from his ACL injury, he was awesome. He was really good through the
hmm
postseason. They won a World Series, like you said. He seems pretty excited about being here, so I'm okay with it. City asked about Jose Trevino. We didn't get to talk about this a whole lot with Joel the other day. Um, I like it. I think it's a really nice backup catcher
hmm
to get. I think it's a move that makes a ton of sense. Probably still just as good defensively as what they're losing, and then with Luke Maley, and then a better hitter. So I
hmm
think that's a net positive. Is where I feel about that. So, and also I really dug the picture of him going in full Yankee uniform to his kid's career day. I thought that was cool.
Yes, it was really cool. Yeah, I definitely like it. It's a guy. That's another guy that's been around a winning clubhouse, right? Like he's a guy that knows what it takes to win. He's
Yeah.
been around guys that have won, and he's played and he's had quality at bats. He's had quality starts. He's played in quality games, and to have that guy there that can step in and have that kind of experience, like yeah, I can't say that that's a bad thing.
Yeah. So Braden talks about this real quick. Net trades Cansley got India Lux, prospect Weimer, and a comp pick for Stinger, and a slight upgrade in flexibility. Satisfied with the outcome, but doesn't move the needle. Nail on the head. I completely agree.
Yeah,
I think
yeah,
that's the best way to put it. And then Joey Gaditza, our good friend from north of the border. If they can't spend money on a player like Grichuk, come on. Yeah, I just see Randall Grichuk just signed with someone else. Nick said something earlier about I'm ready to sign Anthony Santander. Rumors are he's thinking of less years, perfect for Reds. Yeah, I love it. I just want Anthony Santander. I
mhm,
really just do at this point. And I know last episode we did before we took our hiatus, Offenbaker and I had a discussion about Lou Bob, where he's kind of like he's going to be hurt, he's going to have all these issues. He's got two buyouts for like to where literally it's going to really just like if it doesn't work out, it could pay him $2 million to go on his way.
mhm.
So, we're pretty open here. We don't care about salaries.
No,
So um, we'll kind of see how that goes. And then Nick says here, I think it's the best thing they could do is Ellie third, McLean shortstop, Lux second. I think Terry will do that. I wouldn't be shocked. I thought Ellie looked, I mean, obviously Ellie played a lot of short third base in the minors when they were trying to figure out how they're going to put him in the big league club. And realistically, his time playing third base with the major league roster, I thought he looked incredibly comfortable. Made some unbelievable plays. I think he could be a Gold Glove third baseman, but I just also think he could be a Gold Glove second baseman. But we'll see how it goes, man. I'm okay with it. Like I said, like we talked about Trevino, I think that's a nice pickup. I think he's a good player. And so, yeah, we got a lot to be excited about in that case. I still would like to see the outfield situation attacked more, like we all would, while we're just watching all these guys sign with like teams who aren't as promising as the Reds for the future. But, you know, we'll get there. So I've been thinking about this a little bit, and we've been talking about this whole thing with the Reds as far as the sake of like setting a culture. Like we just talked about Notre Dame and Ohio State. What makes those teams so great is their culture is better than your culture. That's why they can overcome bad losses and find a way to play for the national championship. The Reds are trying to set that. And I was thinking about this a lot with Terry Francona and bringing in his guys. I think that adding Mike Napoli to the coaching staff is going to be immensely underrated. We're going to have party in Napoli all the time.
I think that there's I think he's going to have a lot of different things like that we're just going to not understand or not give the value to. And like moves he's going to make, things he's going to do. I think there's going to be a lot of different things that he does. The Mike Napoli thing was sneaky good. Just because of what he brings to the table as far as a guy that's played in the major leagues, a guy that's, he also has won. I think bringing those guys around to, like you said, build a culture. You're trying to build a culture of winning, and Mike Napoli has definitely done that. So, I definitely like that move.
Party in Napoli's. We need our own version of Party in Napoli's. We need yeah. I'm excited for it. So we'll see how it goes. All right, so we're gonna start here with the starting rotation. Kind of just discuss how give a preview of that. And Ben and I were kind of texting yesterday about how we wanted to do this position by position breakdown. And we agreed to start here because, let's be honest, it's not just the strength of the current major league team, it's the strength of the organization right now. It is so many dynamic players that are starting pitchers right now for the Reds where we're legit having lengthy conversations about what does the 5-man rotation look like and how many extra starters are we going to need. And I think the Reds have done, for all the bad we can say the Reds have done, all the things that have been really, really frustrating, they have nailed this. They have really done a great job building this part of the team. And so I'm excited to get into it. We're going to talk about a few different guys. If you have questions about the starting rotation and you're in the chat, please let us know. Seth, what's up? Cannot wait to do Welcome to the Jungle with you tomorrow. And we're going to figure out something to do about the national championship. We're trying to figure out how we're going to do some content. We might do one of those like dual network Riverfront U Welcome to the Jungle things. Obviously, Ben, you'll be invited. I just don't have any Notre Dame people that work on the network to help me out. I'm going to be by myself there, but we'll figure it out. All right, man. So first, let's start here. This is what Fangraph has for projections for the starting rotation for 2025. And a couple of things that jumped out is one, Hunter Green, 172 innings. And look at that. Look at that BABIP. 287 BABIP is what they're thinking. A 2.8 WAR. I will 100% take that. I think he's going to have a lower ERA than 4.16. Honestly, I think.
I do too.
Yeah, and we'll get to that here in a second. But look at that, 10.7 K per 9. We'll take that any day of the week. They're really high on the Brady Singer move. I mean, that's really nice. At 8.5 Ks per 9. We know he's a ground ball guy. But I'm kind of shocked by the 305 BABIP, which I know isn't super high, but for batting for balls in play. Excuse me. Got a little flashback here, but it seems like they're really excited about that. And then Andrew Abbott as the third guy in innings, so at 156. So obviously, like we're talking about, that's the whole idea of this exercise today. Anything here as far as projection or prediction that jumps out to you the most as far for the starting rotation?
No, not really. I mean, Hunter Green, I actually I think his strikeouts will be down a little bit, um, because I think he's learning how to pitch better, pitch to contact and do some other things well. And I also think his ERA will be, I think he'll be mid threes,
That's where I'm at.
3.5. You know what I mean? Um, I kind of shocked about Singer for sure. That's a pretty good. Those are pretty good numbers. Um, I'd like to see. Well, I'd like to see. Well, Lodolo's numbers are going to be what they are, just because you just don't know what you're going to get. But I could see Rhett Lauder's innings be higher.
Me too.
Um, and I think he's going to have more of a impact on that starting rotation than what's been projected for sure.
Yeah, I do too. So we're gonna get to all of that through the chat tonight. But like I said, C says interested, no mention of Burns or Acuna. I am too. I thought that was interesting. Brandon, I still like to add one more depth piece to the rotation, but they're moving in the right direction, rounding it out on a budget. I completely agree there. So let's start. Let's start with the
Mhm.
obvious. What are realistic expectations for Hunter Green in 2025, Ben? And I am going to go on a limb here and say that if this Reds team flips their record from last year, so last year they were what, 78 and 84. If these teams
Mhm.
84 and 78 in the National League wildcard spot, I think we're talking Cy Young candidate.
Oh, I mean, he showed that last year. I mean, he showed that last year that he could be a Cy Young. If he doesn't get hurt at the end of the year, he's top five easy. He's top
Yeah.
five easy. So I think he has all that ability. He is just now starting to put it together. Um, and I think he's like, and we talked about this all last year. He's learning how to pitch. He's not
Mhm.
just trying to be a power guy. He's not just trying to be a strikeout guy. He is learning how to attack batters. He's learning how to attack the zone, with some kind of direction and game plan, instead of just saying, you know what, I'm just going to pump 102 up here and see if I can get people out. Which he realized that he can do that at times, but he's also got to be able to put other pitches together and be able to get ground balls and do some different things. I think he will be a Cy Young candidate if the Reds are on a winning track. Like if they're a 83 to 85 win team, he's right there for sure,
Yeah. And I
because he's
feel
going
like,
to have a lot to do with that.
yeah, and I feel like they can be. I mean, if everything goes right, and they kind of, I think they'll take a step forward
Hmm.
from last year. Obviously, a
Hmm.
better manager is probably going to help them win a few more games, and that's going to be nice. I think they're going to be a really competitive team, regardless of how disappointing their moves were to improve the roster this offseason or lack thereof. But yeah, I think all-star starter, Cy Young candidate. People are going to want to watch Hunter Green pitch, and I have a feeling they might hold him off
Hmm.
there at the end, towards August, to let him pitch in Bristol in the Braves game. I have a feeling that's going to happen.
Oh, you have to, right?
Mhm.
Like he's your ace. He's your all-star. He's your guy. Like that has to be the guy that goes in one of your biggest marquee games in the last 5 years. Like he has to be that guy.
Yeah, we all love Nick Martinez, and we're excited he's came back.
Hmm.
Nick Martinez does not make a national TV game on Fox in a NASCAR stadium as exciting as Hunter Green. So
Right. Versus the Atlanta Braves lineup.
yes, absolutely.
So
Still got to figure out how I'm going to make it down there. I'm going to try my best.
yeah.
Um, but yeah, I think we're in agreement. Hunter Green, awesome this year. And so after Hunter Green, we kind of go to who is the realistic number two option for this team. Fangraphs is under the impression it'll be Brady Singer. Um, I show here, it could be another guy besides these three, obviously, but between Brady Singer, Andrew Abbott, and Nick Lodolo is what I'm really looking at. But I wanted to point out something that came up that Brandon actually mentioned in the Slack channel yesterday. There was an MLB article just talking about expectations for the season. And I can't remember exactly who the player was. It was something that says who's going to be the 2025 player that bounced back. And I cannot remember. Oh, 10 players who could be 25, 20, could be 2021 to 24 breakout stars. All right. So I'm pulling the article up now, but more or less it was who's the guy? They said Ellie De La Cruz will be this year's Bobby Witt Jr., which we'll get to that here in a couple weeks, obviously.
Mm-hmm.
But the question was, as I'm scrolling, is the 2025 Tarek Skubal. So Tarek Skubal was a guy who battled injury in 2023, and 2024 had an awesome year. They said Nick Lodolo could be
Mm-hmm.
Tarek Skubal, and Tarek Skubal was like the best pitcher in the American League at stretches last year.
Mm-hmm.
So that makes you feel good. Fangraph seems to be really not super optimistic about how much Lodolo is going to pitch, with only giving him 127 innings. But I think if all those guys are at their ceiling, it's for sure Nick Lodolo. But
Mm-hmm.
how confident are we that Nick Lodolo is going to reach his ceiling and be able to do that for this team? I don't know. So I think on a safe note, I will take Brady Singer. But I do really think Nick
Yeah.
Lodolo is going to have a conversation to say he belongs.
Yeah, I think that, like you said, the safe bet coming off the injury plague season he had last year, it would have to be Singer, a guy that's a veteran, a guy that's been able to be in those spots and do those things. But there's nothing more that I want, probably for any Reds player to have success more than Nick Lodolo.
Me too.
Um, I just think that he's untouchable.
He's
Like
Chris Sale.
yeah, he's so good. So for me, I just hope he finds that he gets that Hunter Green where he figures it out. And it may not look that way at the beginning of the year, but dude, when we look up in August, middle of August, September, and he's starting to put wins together, and you're like, "Ooh, this is the guy that we've been waiting for." That's what I'm hoping that Lodolo becomes, is that he figures out how to keep his stuff around the zone, because the stuff is filthy. He's just got to learn how to locate it and not give people good strike pitches on good strike counts. If he does that and he's able to place his ball and do things the way we know he can, dude, he will be lights out.
Yeah, so Sydney says this rotation is top 10 or top 5 in baseball if Lodolo stays healthy and pitches 75% of the season. I would go as far
Mm-hmm.
as saying if Nick Lodolo pitches 75% of the season and pitches like Nick Lodolo,
Mm-hmm.
this team's going to win the Central. That's how high I think of Nick Lodolo.
Yeah, if Nick Lodolo could be the Nick Lodolo we know he can be, and pitches 75% of the innings, and say he gives you 155, 160 innings, and is able to do the things he's able to do, and stays healthy. Yeah, you're looking at one of the best rotations in baseball for sure.
Yeah, absolutely. As far as Andrew Abbott is kind of the guy who's like, I'm trying to figure out the best way to describe him, because he's just solid. You know what I mean? It's just a guy that, every fifth day when he takes the ball, he's going to be competitive and you're going to have a chance to win. He's probably not going to wow you. I mean, he's not going to go out there and throw like Hunter Green. He's not going to hit spots the way Nick Lodolo is, but he's going to win games, and he's going to make sure you have a chance to win games when he passes the ball into the bullpen. So I am really excited to see what he does this year. I'm happy that with all these talks about trades, he is going to be starting the year on the Reds. I don't, we'll see how things go. Maybe he's traded in a couple weeks if they find a deal with an outfielder, but for the time being, we're talking with the expectation that he'll be on the team. And he also just got a nice little payday. So congrats to Andrew Abbott on your raise. But he is, Nick says it right here. Thank you. Perfect way to put it. Workhorse, absolute workhorse. So I'm stoked to see what he does, because you're going to have a hard time beating Andrew Abbott, because he's going to do everything he can to beat you.
Yeah. And the cool thing about Andrew Abbott and where he fits in this rotation is that he is a prototypical 3-4 starter.
Yes.
You know what I mean? Like, he's not the guy at the top of he's not the guy at the top of your number one. He's not your ace. He's not your number two, but he's good enough to be a 3, because his stuff is good enough to be a 3. And also too, he's gritty enough to win you one of those third games in a series, a rubber match, a game where you're looking to sweep, a get out of town game. He's gritty enough to give you 5, 6, 6.5 innings of baseball where you've got a chance to win. So that's the good thing about Andrew Abbott, is that he is going to compete, and he's going to be a guy that if you have him in a 3 slot, it's good. If you have him in a 4, it's good as well.
Brandon, as long as he stays away from Walter White, he'll be good to go. Oh man,
There we go.
I talk about this with Grace all the time, but I think Breaking Bad might be my favorite television show of the last 15 years. And I loved every minute of watching it, but I don't know if I want to watch it again. I don't think I could rewatch it just because it was so intense. So like now with like the cliffhangers, now I know what all the cliffhangers are. I don't think I would just have the same reaction to it. And I think that would kind of disappoint me.
Yeah. Especially with a show like that that's so intense. Like if you already know why you're intense, you're like, oh, I already know why this. Like it's not the same feel. It's definitely not. It's like if you remember the show 24.
Yeah.
Yeah, like 24 is the same. Like it was so intense. You're like, oh, I can't go rewatch 24 because I'm like, it's 24. Like it's gonna happen. I can't be intense about it.
Yeah. Abbott reminds me a lot of time, Brandon, from Jesse Smith. That's a good comp. Would it shock you if Andrew Abbott threw a no-hitter this year? I don't think it would shock me in the least bit.
Not at all.
Yeah.
Not
like
at
it's
all.
like he's like a better Wade Miley, like a much better Wade Miley. And Wade Miley threw a no-hitter. So, anything's possible.
Anything's possible.
Yeah. Let's talk about our guy, Indigo Montoya. I'm sorry, Rhett Lauder. What is a realistic expectation for Rhett Lauder this season? So Joel and I talked about this the other night on the Riverfront Red show. For those who listened, and thank you very much. You haven't. Spoiler alert. And the conversation we had was, I said that I think Rhett Lauder will eventually be the number 2 starter on this team, and Joel is in the market of he's going to start the year in Louisville. Brandon made a comment earlier about let him stretch out in Louisville and be ready to eat innings when the back of the rotation starts to tire. I think that's a great strategy for him. I just think he's too good to be denied. I just think he's too good to not be on the big league team. And so, yes, I'm okay with the idea he's going to start in Louisville. But if they go to the playoffs like we say they are and we feel confident in this, oh, you disagree. Okay, let me get your plot in just a second.
Yeah, go ahead. Go ahead.
I was going to say that if they are in the playoffs, I think he starts a playoff game.
Yeah. I don't think he starts in Louisville. I think he did enough at the end of last year to show that he can pitch on this roster. And
I agree.
Good 4 or 5. You know what I mean? It's. I mean, I understand what people are saying about him going down there and eating innings and doing this and the other, but I like you said, I think you brought up a really good point. I think he's just too good to deny that. Like, I think his stuff is really, really good stuff. And I think that even when he came up and struggled, he still, like, he had some struggles, but you could see that he was trying to work things out and figure things out. And that's where I think he's going to come in this year and be better than he was last year, is that he's got that experience in his back pocket now to where he's going to be able to put things together and be able to do things at a higher level. And his stuff is really good. I mean, I just don't see, I just don't think that the Reds have time to wait. Like, I don't think they have time to wait and be like, oh, we got time to put him in AAA. Like, no, like we're trying to win games now. And I think that he can help you win baseball games.
Yeah, it's a great point, man. I think it's a very, very valid argument. Here's what I'll say. I have a feeling he's going to be the guy that puts the most pressure on the major league, on the coaching staff at the end of spring training to say, you need me.
Yeah.
And I think he's going to be a really hard decision. And I understand the flexibility they have with Nick Martinez, who can do multiple things. That's why you brought him back. He can pitch in multiple situations. And let's be honest, September, he was unbelievable. He was insanely good. And that's fine. But I also realistically think that because the Reds are also a team that's very, very interested in arbitration and making sure they're not messing with, the fact that Mike Leake and Jonathan India broke camp with the big league roster when they did is a miracle. And so I think that there's going to be something where they're going to try to hold him back there a bit. But May, I for sure think he'll be here by May. I think he's just going to be too good in AAA. And you saw it last year, like you said. So I'm with you.
Yeah, I just think that with the the biggest thing for the Reds is the health of Lodolo. That's where all this is going to fall. Because if Lodolo is not healthy, then you're going to have Louder there. You're going to have
Yeah.
him there. You're going to Martinez, all those guys. If Louder is or Louder, if Lodolo is healthy, then it does give you an opportunity to do what you want to do with Rhett Louder. But I do think, like you said, you bring up a really good point. In spring training, I think he's going to be so good that they're going to be like, yeah, we can't, like, we have to have this guy.
Nick has mentioned someone in particular for our next slide multiple times in the chat, so I'm really excited to talk about him here. And so this is our last slide, but I do kind of want to get to a couple more
Hold on,
guys.
did he say I think it's higher ceiling than powder? Is that what he said?
Yeah, then he corrected himself.
Yeah, that's funny.
So the other two guys who were kind of not mentioned here, they were mentioned in. Actually, no, one of them was, one of them wasn't. Like Lyon Richardson, I'm sure will probably make a spot start at some point, but I don't see him being someone who's consistent in the rotation.
Yeah.
I don't really know what the game plan for Graham Ashcraft is, but I think eventually he's going to be in the bullpen just because of that whole thing. That, I mean, the stats show very, very, very vividly that second side of the order is probably your best you're going to get with him.
Yeah.
And so I wanted to kind of bring up the two guys who I think are going to make a case for themselves this year. And one of them, Nick mentioned a couple times, that's Chase Burns, last year's second pick overall from Wake Forest via Tennessee. And Chase Petty, who you got in the Sonny Gray trade in 2022. And so Chase Petty made it to Louisville at the end of the year last year. Looked really, really good in the second part of his tenure in AA, going into AAA. And I mean, if the season went on for another couple of weeks, might have had a shot to pitch a major league game. And Chase Burns has an incredibly high ceiling. That's why they took him with the second overall pick when we were all wanting someone else, Charlie Condon. That's another story for another time, though. I'm not going to be too mad about it anymore. I'm over it. But the reason I have Chase Burns on that slide, Ben, is because we're not in the old days of baseball anymore where, Steven Strasburg pitched in the minors for 2 years.
Yeah.
It doesn't happen anymore. I mean, no. Paul Skeens was the number one pick the year before he made his debut. Rhett Louder in that same draft made his debut the same year. So baseball doesn't wait for these guys anymore, man. I mean, like, there was a couple years ago, the Angels drafted that guy, and then I can't remember the name. I'm sure someone will tell us in the chat. And 2 months later, he's on the big league club. I mean, it's how things are working now. And I'm fine with that. I'm completely fine with that. I have no issue with that. The guys are good enough to play in the big league roster. Worst case, you option them down and they keep working on their stuff. But my point in the question is, Nick says, Chase Burns has such a high ceiling. He's so talented. I think he's the one guy who rivals Hunter Green in talent in this group. Like as far as like in the organization.
Right.
I really think he has that potential. With the way baseball's going, we'll start with Burns because that's who we're talking about now. Do you think Chase Burns pitches a major league game for the Reds this year?
Oh man. Yeah, I do. He's another guy that he's just so talented.
Yeah.
Like if you're looking to build a rotation, or if you're looking to build arms, he has to be in the conversation, right? Like, I mean, are you going to try to make a run with some of your older arms, or are you going to use some of these young guns? I do think he makes a spot start. I don't know if he's in the rotation, but we'll definitely see him.
I think you're right. I do think that he is going to, at some point, be on the mound at Great American Ballpark this year. And I do think it's going to be taking the ball for first pitch.
Yeah.
When? I don't necessarily have an exact idea just yet. But I just think that he's going to be like we talked about with Louder. Nick says it. He's got a higher ceiling than Louder or Powder. I agree. Completely agree. And so I think he's just going to find a way to force himself to be on the big league roster. Now, do I think he'll make the playoff roster if they make the playoffs? Probably not.
Right.
But do I think he's going to make a case for himself? Yeah, absolutely. As far as Chase Petty goes, I think it's a no-brainer. I think at some
Yeah.
point he's going to be he's going to be here, and I think the way he's progressed it's been different than Louder. It's been different than a lot of those guys for sure. He needed a little more time, but that's okay. I think Chase Petty is going to be a really good major league pitcher. I also think that if there is a situation where they can improve their outfield, and someone asks for a starter, he's the one that's most likely out the door. I could be wrong there, but just have this feeling that he's the one that's most likely to be attached to someone to be moved in a trade.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, because anybody that's looking at your organization is going. I mean, they know who are the guys that can get and the guys that can't. And Chase Petty could improve your rotation immensely.
Yeah.
So if you're looking to make a move and you're trying to upgrade your rotation or your arms, then Chase Petty's got to be a guy that you're looking at for sure. My question to you is if Burns and Petty are both pitching on the major league roster, is that a sign of a good thing for the Reds, or is that a sign of a bad thing?
Probably a bad thing.
Yeah.
Probably a bad thing.
I mean, that's what I figured.
Yeah. I mean, but being realistic at the same point is that what happened in 2012 with the Reds rotation that year has literally not been replicated. There's never, I mean, you haven't seen it, especially in Cincinnati, where the same 5 guys got starts every time it was their turn in the rotation until the playoffs. But I just kind of feel like for this situation here right now, with how much depth you have, hopefully if Chase Burns is up, it's like September. What part of like one of the 3 or 4 guys called up to be added from the 40-man? I don't know how the logistics of that's going to go. But I just, like I said, like I know I'm kind of contradicting myself here, and that's not my intent by any means. I've had some bourbon. But I just kind of feel like he's too good. And so as far as Petty, I feel like Petty's probably the first guy that comes up if someone gets hurt. If Louder's in the big, you know what I mean? Like if Louder's going to end up making the big league roster and being here consistently, which I do think that's going to be fine. But I just feel like Petty's probably your like, oh, hey, Nick Martinez can't make this next start. He's got to sit out for a couple, we got to put him on the 10-day. Chase Petty's going to be right there waiting. What's fearful/good about that is what if Chase Petty comes up and is really good those 2 starts, and you have Nick Martinez with the availability to pitch in the bullpen.
Yeah.
That's a good problem.
That's a really good problem. That's a really good problem.
Yeah. So Nick says here, unless it's just rest for the original 5, wouldn't that kind of be cool? Like say the Reds have clinched a playoff spot by the last home stretch of the season. We're like all comfortable and enjoying ourselves, just getting ready to see, like, we're like scoreboard watching to see who we match up against in the first round. Chase Burns pitches that last Sunday at GABP for the year. That'd be neat. I'd be excited about that.
That would be pretty cool. That would be really cool.
Got to get people in the seats. The NFL is going to do something dumb where they're going to schedule the Bengals that Sunday at home at like 4:00.
Oh, so, you already know.
Yeah, it's going to be some really stupid thing. So to answer your question, depending on what point it is in the season, it's a good thing or a bad thing. If it's June, we probably need to be really, really nervous. But if it's like the middle to the end of September, something's going right.
Yeah, something's going good. Something's going really good.
For sure. All right, so I want to go back to the beginning of the first slide real quick, just to look at the names here real quick, just kind of go through. So we talked about Hunter, Brady, Abbott, Martinez, Lodolo, Louder, Petty. Graham Ashcraft, have no freaking clue. I do think he was going to be better suited in the bullpen, but also a guy who you can't trust to take the ball every 5th day. Just seems to kind of be injured a lot. Carson Spires seems like an incredibly nice guy and a guy you want to root for. Don't have confidence that he can consistently stay up here and be in battle. And Lyon Richardson, I think is, as Carlos Guevara puts it, and I really like this from someone who actually pitched in the big leagues who talks about this. I think Lyon Richardson is a 4A player. And that's okay because every system, every major league team needs 4A guys. And I think
Hmm.
that's where Richardson kind of fits into the Reds.
Yeah, I would agree with that for sure. Absolutely.
Yeah, for sure. So Joey asked about they need another pen arm. We are going to talk about the bullpen next week, Joey. But yeah, if they can go get Yates, I'm all for it. But we'll deep dive into that next week. I just really hope that they aren't really relying on Brian Shaw. I hope this is just a like Joel said the other day to me, that he is has an interest in being a bullpen coach one day, and it's just kind of here because he
Right.
pitched for Tito in Cleveland.
Yep. Yep.
That's the
Yeah.
hope.
That's what here's what I'm thinking is that, yeah, I think that he wants to be on Tito's staff one day, and Tito likes him. So he's like,
Mm-hmm.
you know what, man, we're gonna bring you on. You can mentor these young pitchers and get you groomed for a coaching role.
Yeah, man. I hope so for sure. But hey, we're gonna go ahead and unless anyone has any questions, we're gonna go and close out. I'll hang out here for a minute and we'll babble, just in case. So, um, you've been seeing these Ellie for MVP things of late.
Mm-hmm.
I
Yeah.
I've seen it multiple times now.
Yeah. Yeah. I'm telling you, man, he's got a buzz around him that you just don't see every day. Like even on the national scale, like um, you know, people on the MLB network, people at ESPN, people, I mean, good baseball guys are really high on Ellie De La Cruz.
Yeah,
So, and I know that the everyday fans like, oh, well, he makes errors, oh, he strikes out, but like everyday fans say that stuff, but like when you have really good, guys like Brian Kelly, guys like on the
Brian
MLB,
Kenny.
Brian Kenny, my bad. Brian
Yeah, yeah,
Kenny,
yeah. We don't talk
Harold,
about Brian Kelly
yeah,
on
my
this,
bad.
on this show.
Brian
Okay,
Kenny, my
especially
bad.
not right now, Ben. Things are
I'm,
good.
I'm gonna say I'm trying to put some, trying to put a hex on another day, bringing up Brian Kelly. But Brian Kenny, Harold Reynolds, I mean, those are good baseball guys, and they're talking about Ellie De La Cruz and how special he is. You got to feel good about when those guys are saying good things about your guy. So I just hope he takes that next step. I will say this. A change in leadership is sometimes good for your better players because they want that guidance. And you hope that a guy, like Tito, looks at a guy like Ellie and says, "Okay, you're going to be the guy. I mean, I know you just turned 23 years old, but you're going to be the guy." You
How?
know,
How?
I- it's
That
crazy,
is that is
crazy.
LeBron James stuff. It's like, yeah,
Yes,
you're 23. You're gonna be fighting for MVP. Like,
yes,
I don't think people
absolutely.
understand that how special that is.
No, yeah, it's insane. It's insane. But I think that they've had those conversations where you're like, he knows, like, you're gonna be the guy, you're gonna be a leader, you're gonna be all these different things on top of being one of the world's best players. So I think that change in leadership is going to help him because it's going to give him a lot of just guidance where he didn't have that before.
Yeah, for sure. And I want to just say this again. I said this with Joel the other day, and I just want to make sure I get this out there because I know there's the black cloud over Ellie's future with or without the Cincinnati Reds.
Mm-hmm.
And I'm just gonna say, like, this is my advice that I know Reds fans will not follow. I think we will follow,
Mm-hmm.
but enjoy the moment because we don't know.
Yeah.
Maybe they do surprise us and sign to a long-term deal after arbitration. Highly unlikely, but maybe they
Mm-hmm.
do. But if the slight case they don't, I shouldn't say slight case. Let's be realistic here. Let's call a spade a spade.
Yeah.
But in the case they don't, dude, he's ours at least for
Yeah.
4 more years. So let's enjoy it. Let's just enjoy
Yeah.
every minute of Ellie De La Cruz playing for our team.
Yeah. He's a special cat. And a lot of times, like I said, people get caught up on some of the insignificant stuff that he does instead of all the great things that he's going to do and be able to do. Especially with the loss of a guy like Joey Votto. You know what I mean? Like you lose that national spotlight guy that you had in Votto, but you replace it with the LA De La Cruz. it really puts puts that positive light back on your franchise, even though your franchise hasn't been good.
Yeah.
So, it's nice to have a guy there. And I think Matt McClain will be the same way. Matt McClain will come out like a house on fire. And then
Can't
you'll start
wait,
seeing
man.
it. Yeah. And you'll start seeing him
Can't
on
freaking wait.
commercials. You'll start seeing him in the shredder and all those guys talking about him. And it'll be fun. It'll be fun baseball here.
Yeah. I got a bone to pick with the shredder. I understand it's a system and it's not
Yeah.
like a group of guys sitting there picking it. Tyler Stevenson, not a top 10 catcher. I don't agree with that. I don't agree with that.
Yeah, I know.
But we'll get
not 10 catcher. Yeah, there's not 10 catchers better than Ty Steve.
Yeah, I completely agree. All right, man. Well, I think with that being said, we hit the 45-minute mark. I think we can roll out of here. Hey guys, we're so happy we're back. As you can see, I'm doing my old man podcasting now because I have been podcasting for about 20 years. I got a rocking chair now for my office seat. Look at this. Got rid of the Christmas tree.
I noticed that. Look at that.
Yeah, baby. So I love it. But we're excited.
Got a rocking chair.
We're really excited to kind of see for this season. We're excited to be back. Next week we'll go to the bullpen. Everything's gonna be really, really cool. So excited to be back. So excited to be talking Reds baseball. So excited to be talking about Notre Dame, the 2025 national champions. I'm so excited for. Oh, he's out of your head! Ha ha! So excited the Pittsburgh Steelers lost today. Saturday. That was cool.
Oh man.
Bro.
Dumb
Russell
Steelers.
Westbrook is just Andy Dalton with a Super Bowl ring. That's all there is to it. So.
Oh no, Russell Wilson.
Yeah. He's Andy Dalton with a Super Bowl ring. That's all he is.
Oh yeah.
But on behalf of Ben Brown, this is Tim Daniel. Thanks for hanging out tonight, guys. A lot of fun to be back. Cannot wait to do this with you guys through 2025. We'll see you guys next Sunday.